Hi again, textile lovers. This is part 2 of making Katherines' fire dress. I've got the bodice finished here, or almost finished. I haven't done the side seams. Made from the patchworked and printed fabrics that I showed in the first video. And I'm pretty pleased with that. I think it's turned out quite well. Quite well. Okay, so I'm using my PDF pattern, the Skye Blue dress, for this garment. So this is the cover page from my pattern, and this is the technical drawings. So my description for the pattern is it's a midi length dress with short sleeves and a round neck. Bell shaped skirt, has inset pockets in the side seams at the waistline. Skirt has 3 panels, front and back. Neckline and hem are finished with self bias or matching purchase bias. Top stitch dealing is optional, and there's 2 views here. I have a view 1 with a bodice that pulls on over the head, and the view 2 option has buttons down the back bodice. Now I'm just making the pull-on version of the dress for Katherine. This is view 2 with the buttons down the back, so we're just making this version here. And the reason why I haven't sewed the side seams yet is because of the way the pockets are constructed. I need to actually put the front and back skirts on because the pocket will, the opening of the pocket sits part way into the bodice. Now, these are my remnant pieces left over from cutting the bodice. Just get rid of that and we'll go out a bit. These are the remnant pieces left over after cutting the bodice. This is the largest piece I have, and these are some more pieces of what Katherine gave me to work with. There's quite a few long strips here. Now those long strips will suit the construction of the skirt, the Skye Blue dress skirt, because it's essentially 3 panels on the front and the back. So this is the centre front panel of the dress, which is cut on the fold, and this is the side panel. So there'll be a side panel, the centre front through here, and another side panel down there. So I'm now going to work on making extra textile so I can cut the skirt pieces out, and I'm going to do it by obviously sewing a lot of these strips together in various combinations. Then I'll do some more printing, and then I'll be able to cut out the skirts front and backs, sew them to the bodice, put the inset pockets in, and well, hopefully that will be the dress finished by the end of today. It's about 2 o'clock in the afternoon at the moment, so I'm going to be down here for probably another 3 hours, and I think I've got a good chance of getting this skirt constructed. I'll be back later to update you on how it's going. Hi there, fabricistas. Well, I've pieced all those strips together, and I've got a section of cloth this big, and I'm going to start printing on it now. So I'm going to go back to using that branchy stencil you saw me cut the other day, which I told you was fragile and was not going to last long and through many prints. It's fragile because I cut it quickly because I don't intend for it to be a long-term stencil that I use multiple times. It's like a temporary one, and I cut it without using bridges, which means that many of these pieces are very loose and flappy, so when the stencil becomes wet and I lift it and put stress on it, the paper, which doesn't have much strength, breaks. I have put a couple of bridges down there a while back with some sellotape, temporary kind of a bridge, just to try to get the stencil to last just for the period of time that I need it. So there we go, adding a temporary sellotape bridge there to keep this large section from flapping around too wildly. I'm estimating I probably need to use this stencil perhaps another 5 or 6 times, and then I can just literally turf it in the bin. So there we go, that little temporary bridge is applied down there, laying it on the fabric. Got my paint ready to go. That's my water spray. Here we go, making the marks. After I'd used this stencil the first time a few days ago when I did my first prints, it's been laid flat to dry out, and when I came in this morning I ironed it to flatten it out because a lot of those little pieces had curled up, and then I laid it under some weighted stuff to keep it flat. Okay, crude, but sort of a bit like the chaos of a bushfire. I actually found these patchy pieces where I'm missing the paint actually looks like it could be where the flames are hiding the branches behind the flames. So that serendipitous effect I really like. Okay, you can see the stencil is doing its curliness. Now I don't want it too much at that angle. Try to keep it going pretty much this way. Now, yeah. Isn't that crazy? Here we go. Going to have to be a little patient unfurling the curling. I've flipped the stencil around this way because it's easier for me to press the roller that way against the curling. Now, I think that looks sufficient. Here we go. I'm avoiding going a lot on this section at the moment. I'm a little bit concerned that the tone of this brown I'm printing with is very close to that colour, and I'm not really getting as much definition that as what I'd like, so I might change the colour in a little while and print over there perhaps a little darker. We'll see. I've got some print there, and as that's drying out it is darkening up somewhat, so I may not need to be concerned. Yep, it's much easier working this way and pushing out the curls. There we go. That one's done. Got an ironing board behind me, so I'm turning around to throw that stencil on the ironing board while I reposition the fabric. Righty ho. Stencil number 3. Right. Okay, my lovelies, I'm going to pause again and be back with you in a while. on the bodice, I'm just doing a little bit of pretty freehand scraping. When I was looking at the bodice, I thought, oh, there's a big kind of area of white over there. I'd like to bring a bit more balance on this side over here. So yeah, I'm just doing this in a very sort of abstract way, scraping. This white sort of reminds me a bit of the embers and ash as they fall off the foliage and the timber when it's burning. And being Australian, I have had sort of close encounters, not dangerous ones. I've never been in danger, but I have seen bushfires and how they burn, and yeah, so it's what that's about. I'm cutting out pieces for the side back of the dress. Lost my good dressmaking scissors as usual. Anyway, I've cleaned some of the gunk off the blades of these second best scissors, and they're cutting okay at the moment. Okay, I'll set those aside. Now I'm going to take this scrap and various other scraps I have and start to cut them up into smaller pieces and put them back together again until I've got another piece of fabric big enough to cut more larger pieces from. So this is the remnant from those pieces just cut. And this is the remnant piece from the bodice, and I'm going to start making a new patchwork piece of textile from those pieces. Here's the patched together piece to cut out the centre back.